Hey, dude, did you see what ex-WWE referee Jimmy Corderas was saying on Twitter about AEW? Did you see this?
No, I didn't see it. What's it about?
So he's got this little segment that he does on his Twitter channel, and it's called, like, Ranting Ref, something goofy like this. Anyways, he takes this 2 minutes out of his day to shit talk AEW. And, this week he's talking about, how the refs don't know how to do distractions. He says Adam Cole versus 5, which, like, what are you thinking, bud? And he had some harsh words to say about the tax spot that Cody did on Dynamite. Like, what are your thoughts on all this?
What does this guy know about wrestling? Like, Adam Cole's not on AEW.
Yeah, I know,
dude,
right?
What are you doing?
What are you talking about?
Is that Kool-Aid?
No, that's not Kool-Aid. What are you talking about?
I'm pretty sure I saw you just squirt some Kool-Aid.
I'm drinking a beer. What are you talking about?
I was pretty sure I saw that. Anyways, yeah. Dude, I'm like, that's totally Kool-Aid. Are you, like, joining the Dark Order or something?
Dude, you're crazy. Like, let's just, like, I swear to God, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Do you want to start the podcast now or what?
Yeah, let's do it.
Cue the intro.
The following presentation has been brought to you by HSF Productions. The Impromptu Wrestling Podcast with your hosts, Jeff and
Hey guys, welcome back to IWP, the Impromptu Wrestling Podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Tally006. Over to my left, as always, is my brother Damien. How's it going this week?
I'm doing really well. How are you?
I'm good. I actually just finished my first week back at work. It was a long. Yeah, it was good. It was a long time off, so it's a little kind of a shock to the system to get back at in the 9 to 5 mentality, but back doing what I love to do, working on bikes and quads and stuff like that. So yeah, really happy. And they seem to like me there, so it's all good. How about you?
Who doesn't like you?
Right. How's your week?
You know what? It went by so fast I couldn't even tell you like one thing I did. I built this shelf. That's right. About it.
One of those weeks, eh? But, the world is starting to slowly get back, into the groove of things. We got sports are back. Blue Jays. I was watching the Blue Jays game just before we were going live for the podcast. Blue Jays are back at it. MLB in full swing. NBA starting soon. Hockey's next week. And kind of the big news, if you can tell, I'm wearing all my Blue Bomber stuff. Winnipeg, our home city, essentially, the mecca of professional wrestling, as Don Callis would tell you, selected as the hub city for the CFL. All the CFL games in their shortened season for 2020 will be held in Winnipeg. How cool is that? What are your thoughts on that?
That's pretty crazy. Like, I'm surprised it's not like a Toronto, Vancouver.
Right.
Like, because they're the center of the world.
Right.
So, yeah, great opportunity for Winnipeg.
I honestly think that Toronto was kind of out for CFL because they had gotten the NHL. Okay. And Vancouver, I don't know how well they're doing in the whole COVID situation. I know Manitoba, we did 2 weeks of no cases, and then we had like 1 or 2 cases come up from people traveling from the Philippines or something like that. So, I mean, Manitoba is really kicking ass when it comes to the COVID thing. So, to me, it's a no-brainer that Winnipeg should be hosting some kind of, and CFL's great because, the Bombers are huge in Winnipeg and whatnot. So yeah, I'm really excited about it. I can't wait to watch a BC Lions versus Calgary Stampeders game on Winnipeg turf. I just think it'll be cool.
Yeah. That will be.
So anyways, with all that aside, we got a big week of wrestling to talk about this week. We got a few entries in our Breaking Kayfabe section that I wanna touch on, being the Elite and AEW Dark as always, and of course like a really huge show, really big show of AEW Dynamite this week. So what do you say we get right into it, starting with Breaking Kayfabe? So first item, last Saturday, Slammiversary. Impact Wrestling, it's their anniversary show, the WrestleMania, if you will, for Impact Wrestling. They had their big show, and a lot of ex-WWE superstars showed up. A lot of the names from that Black Wednesday, or whatever you wanted to call it, they ended up showing up. Likes of Heath Slater, Eric Young, the Good Brothers, and a video tease of EC3. Did you happen to catch this, or did you see it at all?
I didn't.
What are your thoughts?
I still have to watch it. I mean, it's crazy. It's good for those guys. Good for the Good Brothers I'm sure they're going to be utilized, which is great.
This is kind of why I wanted to touch it. It's like, yeah, great. These WWE superstars had to land somewhere, and maybe it's not necessarily newsworthy, but I really wanted to talk about the Good Brothers because these guys, were in Bullet Club, which we'll talk about a little bit later in the Being the Elite section. But these guys are in with the Young Bucks. They're friends with Cody. They shared the road and all this stuff. It seemed like they would fit in perfectly in AEW. And it's almost a surprise that they ended up in Impact. But the more I thought about it, this is great for them. This is the whole big fish in a little pond kind of situation. AEW's tag team division is the premier tag team division, but it's almost getting saturated now. So I think the Good Brothers kind of saw that. They got FTR, they got the Young Bucks, Butcher and Blade, the Lucha Brothers. I can keep listing them off. Maybe they thought we'll be able to be premier players in Impact, instead of being B players, which we did for 5 years in the Vanilla brand, So I think it's a really smart move on the Good Brothers' part. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, for sure. And wasn't it at the beginning of the AEW sort of coming into existence that they wanted to be able to work with other companies?
Yeah.
So there's maybe the possibility for that. Maybe they have a short-term contract. Maybe this is something that will happen in the future. So I still wouldn't write off that they won't be in AEW someday.
I'm not 100% sure on what the terms of their contract are, but I do know that they are able to go over to Japan and work for New Japan. Now, that is part of their contract. And we all know how big they are in Japan. Japan loves the Good Brothers.
Right. Was Kurt Hawkins also there?
Yeah, so that he wasn't on Slammiversary, but come the Tuesday Impact show, the weekly show, he showed up. I don't know if he was actually on the show because I don't watch Impact, but I know he tweeted it out. He has signed with Impact. Impact already has Brian Myers shirts, ready for sale. Kurt, formerly known as Kurt Hawkins, definitely Impact Wrestling. Can't wait to see him. This is one of the most underrated underutilized talents in all of professional wrestling. This guy gets it. He's awesome at it. This is the guy who went on a 200 and plus losing streak in WWE and was one of the most over guys on house shows. I actually got to watch Kurt Hawkins in Brandon. If you guys remember that back show when I went to a WWE live show. And I mean, this guy stole the show. Like, he is such a good wrestler. Has trained MJF. Like, he runs a school. This guy is professional wrestling personified. And I'm so happy that he landed a job. I think he's a good fit in Impact. I hope they utilize him a lot better than WWE did. So yeah. Great stuff for...
Yeah, I think it was Tommy Dreamer.
Yeah, he was part of it.
Is he... Yeah, like he had a tweet with all of the guys in there.
Yeah, and that's the picture that's up on the screen right now. So, just so everybody knows. As for, Eric Young, he was an Impact guy before he went over to WWE, so he kind of just came home, if you will. EC3, also an Impact guy. We talked about EC3 and the promos that he's been going out, and he was teasing, the AEW. I kind of mentioned that, I wonder if this is just a bargaining strategy, that he's talking about AEW. Maybe he's trying to get, in Tony Khan's ear by mentioning the AEW stuff. But he ended up going back to Impact, which, I mean, he was a former champion there, so he totally will fit right back in. He's already made an impact, no pun intended. On the weekly show, he came out and attacked Moose, who is the self-appointed TNA World Champion. It's not a recognized championship by Impact Wrestling. That's kind of the old championship, the TNA days. But he's kind of working.
It's the FTR championship.
He's the FTR champion, exactly. So yeah, good stuff from all these guys, and also Heath Slater. I think I think I showed you a video of Heath, and man, he's looking buff. He's put on some meat and pounds and stuff like that. So I think Heath Slater is really going to fit in well in Impact. So. Yeah, congratulations to all these guys on signing with Impact. I hope to hear more good things out of them.
It's going to bring viewers because I want to watch now. I don't know where you can watch Impact in Canada, but...
Well, it's a Canadian company, so it's on Access TV. It should be on your Shaw satellite. Tuesdays, Access TV.
Oh, okay.
Might be fun.
Do TV Guide still exist? Can I find it on there?
We might need to Google it. I don't know. But yeah.
Okay.
It is available in Canada. I know that.
Okay.
Anyways, let's move on to the next piece of news. There was quite the situation. I'll put it as Pat Mcafee. I'm not sure how to say his name. Former punter of the Indianapolis Colts. He has a podcast or a radio show of some sort. He posts on YouTube. He's got podcasts, all that stuff. But he does, it's kind of like I don't know, like an ESPN, just kind of open sports discussion type show. He apparently invited Adam Cole on his show. It was kind of a last minute thing. The interview was going, and all of a sudden, Adam Cole has had enough of Pat's words, choice of words, interviewer conduct, whatever you want to call it, gets up, smashes a microphone, is in his face. This is, effing horse shit and fuck this and fuck that, and storms out. The question is this a shoot? Or is this a work? And I'm really interested in what your thoughts are on this. I sent you the link. I hope you watched it. I
did.
I had quite the heated discussion with Corey over text about this.
Oh, okay.
Because
what is his views?
He believes it's a shoot. which boggles my mind because he doesn't believe in anything. He thinks Orange Cassidy's a jabroni.
You know, like, he's listening, right?
I know you're listening, Corey, and I'm telling you. So he thinks it's a shoot. I think it's a work. I think it's obviously a work. Like, it's hands down work. And the more evidence that comes out, I'm even more convinced it's a work. So I'm interested to think what you thought of the whole situation.
Well, first off, I'm very upset at you that you sent me this, because now my YouTube feed is riddled with this joke Pat Mcafee. I keep going back and forth on it. If it's a work, like, who's getting over? That's what I don't. That's what that question I can't answer. This doesn't get Adam over, like, any more than he already is, and, like, is this to get more ratings for this punter?
So,
because I mean, the bad, like, to me, I might have to watch it again, but my opinion of it at the very end was it really makes Adam Cole look bad. He kind of looks like a baby, where he just throws down the mic and then just kind of walks off. Like, maybe if he would have hit Pat or tried to get Adam or something. So I don't know. I'm on the fence.
So this is my stance. We've seen Pat on NXT. He's worked with the WWE before. He comes in and does pre-shows. He does, backstage interviews. They mention it. We've had our differences in the past. Pat's done backstage interviews with Adam Cole, and Adam Cole, being the heel that he is, they get into words and exchanges have happened. My smoking gun of evidence, if you will, is that there's a part of me that thinks this might be a shoot too, but I'm really convinced it's the work, because if this is how Pat Mcafee, however you say his name, if this is how he conducts interviews, the way he was belittling Adam Cole, the way he was acting, I mean, you're the king, you did it, and, like, if that's how you interview, you don't even deserve to have a show. You are a shit fucking interviewer, and no interviewer should ever treat a guest like that. That's horseshit. I'm surprised Adam didn't smack you. Mind you, you're twice the size of Adam, but still, you don't treat your guests that way. I would never have Adam Cole on this show and talk about how, you don't deserve anything you've gotten in NXT because you had 3 other guys helping you. For someone who claims to respect the business, has essentially worked in the business as an interviewer or whatever, claims that he's rolled around with a famous professional wrestling trainer, and then treat somebody like that, to me, it's way too over the top to be a shoot.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where I'm coming from. Have you seen any of
his other episodes?
I've seen, like, things here and there, but I don't remember, how they've ever went. So okay. I'll say no, I haven't seen his other stuff.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you have a really good point. And I think if we watched some of the other episodes and he wasn't like that, then I think you're right about your smoking gun. But if he's kind of a dick about everything,
well, and so this brings me to Exhibit B, if you will. So in the aftermath of all this, late, because this show runs really early in the morning, so it was like mid-afternoon that he tweets out and he screenshots the DMs with Adam Cole. hey, Adam Cole, baby, exclamation point. Heard you're in Indianapolis. Why don't you come down the studio? I know we've had our differences, but, you know, I think we could have a good conversation, you know, da-da-da-da-da. And Adam Cole's like, yeah, that sounds great. When can I come by? And he shows it all. And then he's also got his kind of explanation is just like, you know, just wanted everybody to see how, like, I don't understand what happened. You know, Adam Cole is being a baby, you know, all the stuff. And he's just layering it and layering it and layering it. And it's like, if this was a shoot and this actually happened, I don't think I talk about it anymore. You know what I mean? But he keeps trying to, like, hey, I swear to God, we were like, you know, we were trying to be as nice, you know. And then today, on today's show, because this is a daily show that he does, he starts off the show like, you know, things yesterday got a little heated. I still don't understand what happened. You know, Adam pushed Joe Blow over here, who's got some kind of disease, you know, colitis. I don't even know what that is. I'm sure this guy actually has it. I'm sure that's a shoot. But I mean, why else do you, if you have this like disease that is like making you weak or something, why are you the one jumping up to protect a football player from a professional wrestler? You know what I mean? And it just keeps layering and layering. Like,
yeah.
If this is a shoot, Pat's a dick, should not be on radio, should not be interviewing anybody. But if this is a work, this is fucking brilliant. And I love it. And we've seen things like this before. I remember CM Punk being on Off the Record with Michael Landsberg. And he flips out on Michael. And Michael's like, he like totally backed down. And CM Punk's like, dude, that was TV gold. You ruined it. You know? So like, wrestlers have been in these situations before. And just knowing that Pat's a wrestling fan and seems to be dying to be a part of the business, I totally think this is a work. It's going to be Pat versus Cole on TakeOver, you know? Like, it's happening. Yeah. Confirmed to me.
All right. No, like, I feel like it could go either way. And I would have like absolutely thought it was all a work if I didn't see that it kind of brought Adam into a bad light.
It does make Adam look bad, but I mean, he's working the heel.
He even looked wussy because he just kind of walked away. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it's not like he jumped him and then like pushed him off his chair and then left. Like, the guy just stood there and then continued to badmouth him.
But I think that just plays into the inexperience of Pat, you know? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. If I'm Pat and this is legit, this is a shoot, and this, you know, 5'11", 160-pound guy gets mad at me, like, Pat's twice the size of him. I would have stood up. You know, like, what's your problem? What's up, bro? Like, but he sits there. What's going on? Like, this show's all about positivity. You're bringing this negativity into my studio. What is that? Like, I don't buy it. You're a shitty actor. Like, I don't know.
Well, you know, I think you said it. If this is what his show was about, and this was for real, then Adam probably wouldn't have agreed to be on it.
For sure.
If there was heat there, and he knew that, you know, this guy's an ass and he's gonna treat me like an ass, then why do it? So I'm sure you're right. I'm sure it's a work.
They're doing everything in their power to make it seem as shoot as possible. You know, they, like I said, they just keep layering and layering evidence on, and to me, I'm even more convinced it's a work. But you guys on YouTube, let us know what you think. if you want to see the interview, I'll try to remember to post it in the description. Let us know in the comments, work or shoot. I'd love to hear what the poll is, because there's a lot of people out there that think it's a work, and Pat's the only one who seems to be, this is like, I didn't know this was gonna happen kind of thing. So it is what it is. But let us know what you think in the comments below. Let's move on to Being the Elite. We got episode 213, BC for Life. What'd you think of this episode? Another long one.
It was really long. And we've had long ones before, but there were some really long segments in this one.
Yeah,
like the segments kind of dragged out. But it was a decent episode. Some new things, some old things done a little differently. So yeah, like I thought it was not a bad job. And I mean, the opening to me is the best part of this episode.
For sure. So we just talked about how the Good Brothers signed to Impact. They make their Impact debuts. They show up at Slammiversary. They align themselves with new Impact World Champion Eddie Edwards. They show up on Impact's Weekly. They cut a promo. It's great. But they show up on Being the Elite. And I mean, I just love how they disguise this as a flashback, but obviously just filmed kind of thing. You know, it's prefaced by Nick. You know, he's just getting out of the shower. He's like, hey, I forgot to pack an extra t-shirt. Do you got an extra t-shirt? And Matt throws him an old school Bullet Club Young Bucks t-shirt, you know, Hot Topic special. And he's like, oh, man, this brings back memories and all that stuff. And then they go into the flashback, and it's like the Young Bucks are guesting on Talkin' Shop, which is the Good Brothers podcast from when they were in Japan. We've seen a couple special episodes of Talkin' Shop on Jericho, because the Good Brothers weren't allowed to have a podcast when they got to WWE. So Jericho was able to give them an outlet on a few occasions. Great episodes. Check them out. So yeah, I liked how they set this whole thing up.
Yeah, that was a really clever idea. And then it gets into where they start making fun of WWE, and yeah, that's gold right there.
I have a question for you though. Does Carl Anderson refer to WWE as vanilla? Did you hear that?
Did you hear that too?
I heard that.
I mean, they all watch the show. I don't know why they don't subscribe.
Carl
they
Anderson.
all watch the show.
Subscribe to the show, buddy. Come on. We're all Good Brothers.
I think his hot Asian wife got him into watching it.
Yeah, well, she obviously watches us. She likes guys with beards, right? So. But yeah, good segment. It was cool to see the Good Brothers back on Being the Elite. I like how they, you know, they were getting back into how they ripped off, you know, the Too Sweet and the For Life, and you know, they're doing all the, and Matt's all suck it. Like they're just kind of going back into their, you know, adolescent days of being a wrestling fan. I thought it was great.
Yeah. But what's neat about this as well is that the Bucks start telling the Good Brothers about how they're thinking to start this wrestling company. I think they even had a name for it, which was it like Young Bucks Wrestling or something?
Yeah, like something like that. Yeah. You know, it might not be next year, and might not even be 2 years from now. I mean, we'll throw a date like New Year's 2019, which was the date that AEW was announced, which I thought was a good little touch. And you know, Matt's always good at those that kind of acting, where he's just like, you know, I don't even know, but it might be this, and it's like exactly what it is. Like he does that a lot on the show. I like that. Yeah, it was good. It was a good segment. It was probably the highlight of the segment, or of the show. Sorry. moving on, we also had Dark Order was a big part of this episode. They had like 3 or 4 segments on this show. It was kind of crazy. What did you think?
They're killing it on the show. I love it.
Was it this episode that? Oh yeah, it was. So I'm gonna kind of skip ahead here, but Brandon Cutler kind of had his segment with the best friends, which we were kind of missing. We haven't seen them interact in the last couple of weeks. And, Brandon Cutler totally buries the best friends. He's just like you guys aren't even over anymore. Dark Order's over. They're way more over than you guys. You guys need to get a bit. I was cackling. I was just like, yeah, it's totally true. Long John Silver and Alex Riley, man, they're fucking killing it. And we got to see them a few times on this episode. What did you think of the Nyla Rose interaction? I thought she did well.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised. When the pandemic first started,
right.
She was putting some gold on social media.
When she was
she's
changing that light bulb and she couldn't climb her stepladder. That was great.
Every time I watch that, I lose it.
And Silver makes reference to it. When he talks to her, he's just like, "Oh, how's the Twitter game going? You've been killing it on Twitter." Like he mentions it.
Yeah,
I like when he goes beast.
The only thing I didn't really get from this is that she's actually drinking the Kool-Aid. So, does that should mean something now, right?
Oh, I mean,
everybody else is denying the Kool-Aid, but she just outright.
You can drink the Kool-Aid and not join Dark Order. It's not wrong to drink the Kool-Aid.
Oh, okay.
No, I think she's drinking the Kool-Aid, but her straw says "fuck you." So,
yeah, I actually don't think she was really drinking it, because when they get in close, she's not sucking in. She just has her lips there.
Well, maybe that's part of it. She never did drink the Kool-Aid, so she's not part of Dark Order. Yeah, it was a good segment.
Nyla Rose in Dark Order. That'd be interesting.
Which, I mean, I guess by proxy means Vicky Guerrero is in Dark Order too now. But it's all in good fun.
Yeah.
What else did we have here? I like the CD segment where he's out in the rain in Jacksonville, and he's got 2020, the worst year.
I want that shirt.
It's pretty cool.
Buying that shirt.
AEWshop.com. I'm guessing. But a play on the worst town I've ever been in. Catchphrase. It's really good. What did you think of the Matt Hardy?
What did you think about the whole Matt Hardy?
Yeah, as I say, this one didn't hit me like the other ones did. It was almost drugged out. It's almost jumping the shark at this point for me. And then we get 2 freeze frames. He's got to explain 2 different terms. To me, this bit has run its course. I liked the interactions that Matt Jackson had with the different versions of Matt. When Big Money Matt comes out, he's just like, "Oh, not Big Money Matt. You're the worst. You're the worst of the Matts, and you're such a prick," and all this stuff. I enjoyed that, but it's almost running its course for me. What about you?
Yeah, I agree with you, but there's still some stuff that makes me pop in here. When Matt Hardy says to Matt Jackson, he's like, "Is that a Hardy Boy starter kit?" He's talking about the gear he's wearing.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And then I know it's how they film it as well, right? So they do the freeze with Matt. He's doing the turn, which I think it was the blown up one, the second one.
Yeah.
And then Nick Jackson is pretending to be
Matt Hardy.
They don't even care. They don't even care, right? Yeah. So that made me chuckle.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, it just went a bit too long.
Yeah, I agree. Another kind of interesting moment of being the Elite was the Cutler cam this week. Usually he kind of just shows some of the live action as he's sitting on the outside. Excuse me. Excuse me. As he's watching Dynamite
That's the
live.
Kool-Aid,
What do you? I don't drink Kool-Aid. You're crazy.
I was pretty sure you're.
No, it's beer, man. Anyways, it's usually just him watching Dynamite live, but this time they show, and this is a topic that we talked about last week on the show. It was just like, well, how the hell are they going to change this in time during the commercial break? Oh yeah, it's fucking pre-taped, no big deal, whatever. Well, that must have been the talk of the town because Cutler showed them tearing that ring apart during the commercial break. And I lost it. I was like, really? And now I'm trying to think back, you could hear, I think it's Justin Roberts, is like 15 seconds left. We're back in 15. They weren't even close to being done yet. But I mean, when you watch the show, they're done when it comes back. But then I kind of remembered there was like a video package, like a video promo played just after commercial break. So that gives them the extra 30 seconds or whatever they needed. I mean, right. Hands off to the crew, the AEW crew for getting that canvas torn off. It looks like they had one already set and then they put a second one on top. It looked like it was even vinyled underneath. I don't know if that's normally what the canvas looks like, but it looked like it was specifically for kind of moisture retention. So yeah, hands off to the AEW crew for pulling that stunt off live, essentially.
Yeah. So we're pretty convinced now that this is not pre-taped, that they're live now.
Yeah, I mean, I would say so. Fyter Fest was obviously pre-taped because Jericho talked about his match with Orange Cassidy before it ever happened. So obviously Fyter Fest was pre-taped, but maybe this is just one of those things where, they had run out of pre-taped material, so they do one live and then they stick around for a couple days and film another month worth of Dynamites. It might be that kind of situation. Just so happened that one was live, so
right.
Who knows? I try to keep it kayfabe myself and just view it all as live. So that's how I try to keep it.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's the best way to do it.
I liked the Griff Garrison interaction with Colt. It was Griff Garrison coming to the rescue. Colt again trying to get his buddy back to chasing him around, and Griff Garrison saves him. He's like, dude, man, he's going to murder you. And Colt's like, oh, really? Okay, well thanks, Jungie. Mistaking him for Jungle Boy, which I thought was great.
Yeah. Everybody's on the who the fuck is Griff Garrison.
Yeah.
Like it's all over Twitter. All the wrestlers are doing it.
We saw it last week on Being the Elite when Brody Lee was just like, this isn't Jungle Boy. We'll talk about it a little bit later during Dynamite, but Griff Garrison kind of gets his moment on Dynamite. I'm Griff Garrison. He gets that moment, but we'll talk about that later. And then another kind of highlight of the episode for me was the Dark Order again at the end of the episode. Brody Lee's kind of moment seems to be closing off the show the last few weeks. There's maybe some infighting going on in Dark Order. Everybody's yelling at each other. Why don't you guys have to wear masks, but we have to wear masks? And it's freaking Silver at the cause of all the controversy, and then someone mistakes him for Stu Grayson. They're like, you guys look exactly the same. I cackled I missed the next 2 minutes of that bit because I was laughing. I'm like, they are the same person. They look exactly the same. This is Griff Garrison, Jungle Boy all over.
Well, no, because doesn't he say you don't even look like you're in the Dark Order? And then Reynolds is like, You guys look exactly the same.
And Reynolds is just like straight faced the whole time because he's the best actor in history. Yeah, it was great. It was great stuff.
Yeah, and then it ends off with Brody opening his suit jacket, and he's got
the dual
stacks of paper, dual wielding.
Yeah, and the rest of the Dark Order leaves, and Grayson gets the last laugh by closing the door in Silver's face, and Silver's got to take his punishment. We don't get to see it, but hopefully, maybe that's next episode. We'll get to see what happens. What happens to Silver? So I thought it was all really good stuff.
He'll be bandaged from head to toe
by getting smacked with paper. Good stuff. Great episode of Being the Elite. It was a longer one. If you guys haven't checked it out, check it out for sure. It was awesome. Let's quickly run through AEW Dark, episode 43. What did we have?
Every week we get AEW Dark now. They call it the supersized episode. Yeah. And again, we had another monster episode, 8 matches. In the first match, we had Riche Chanel versus Hikaru Shida, and Shida going over in that one. In match number 2, we had Kip Sabian versus Corey Hollis. And I believe this was Hollis's first match in AEW. It wasn't a bad match. In match number 3, we had Best Friends versus Brady Pierce and Sabi. Is that how you say that? Sabi? Mm-hmm.
Do you know who he was? Recognized him?
I didn't watch that match.
Oh, yeah, I caught it. That's actually Tino Sabatelli, former NXT superstar.
Oh, okay.
Remember he'd come out in the suits, and him and his tag team partner had like the Ferraris. They were kind of working the 1%er gig. Well, he got released. Right. He got released Black Wednesday, and he's landed in AEW working dark matches. So good for him. But yeah, okay. I recognized him right away.
You know what? Was he on the side of the ring, like one of the spectators?
Probably.
Yeah, and I think he looked familiar. Okay, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
All right, so Best Friends go over in that one. Match number 4, we had Will Hobbs versus Ricky Starks. Ricky Starks going over in that one. In match 5, Aaron Solo,
something like that,
versus Scorpio Sky. Scorpio Sky going over. Kylan King is like a regular on Dark now. She goes in a matchup against Diamante. Diamante wins that one. In match 7, we had Robert Anthony versus Darby Allin. I'm not sure if you watched this one, considering that's your boy. This was an interesting match.
It was.
Like the start of it was interesting, and there was some bumps in this one. Those guys were going to feel it for sure.
It was a hard-hitting match, and Robert Anthony's quite a bit bigger than Darby Allin, but I mean, they worked the match well. I like, to me, it made sense the way it did. But I mean, this was really all about what happened after the match. Really.
Right. Yeah, because Cage and Starks come out.
Yeah, and I mean, Taz did not try to hide that this was going to happen the whole match. Actually, the whole show. He really kept talking about how he's got a new buddy. Him and Cage have big surprises coming, and you're just going to have to wait. And it's just like, oh my God, like we've seen this coming. He's been basically gassing up Ricky Starks, which, I mean, I'll just say it now. One of the most dangerous workers I've ever seen. This kid's no fucking good. He might be flashy and high flying, but the kid's unsafe, and we'll talk about this later in the show. And for Taz to gas this kid up, like, obviously they're working together, but we'll talk about it later.
Did you watch the Ricky Starks match?
I did.
Versus Will Hobbs?
No, I didn't.
About the ending? Oh, you should watch the ending of this match. Ricky Starks does like a belly to belly, brings him like onto his back and then over. Like, this kid is strong. So maybe not a good worker, but man, he's pretty strong
to be able to
lift up Will Hobbs, who's probably double his size.
Right. Oh yeah, I'll check.
Thought it was insane. In the main event, we had Peter Avalon and Brandon Cutler versus Butcher and the Blade. This was a pretty typical Cutler Avalon match. Again, they pulled out some really kind of unique things, and I like what they're doing. Still, usually a couple of kind of sloppy points in the match. But overall, I thought it was worthy of the main event. Mm-hmm. And pretty good match. What do you think of the...
They've been closing out Dark like the last few weeks. They're kind of been the Dark headliners, which I believe they deserve. You know, these two guys, Cutler and Avalon, have been working hard during the pandemic era of professional wrestling, so they definitely deserve the spot. This was actually, like you said, it was kind of a standard Avalon Cutler match, but it was really good. It was entertaining. I paid attention through the whole way through. Butcher and Blade, they went over properly leading into their falls count anywhere match with the Young Bucks that we'll talk about later on the show. Yeah, I think this was a great match. It did what it needed to do.
Yeah, even Leva got into it. So
good
episode of Dark.
She took kind of a nasty bump there. You know,
what's that?
She took kind of a nasty bump there. You know, Butcher's holding her up, and I think it's Avalon that comes over the ropes. But she kind of goes head first right into the railings, and I think her glasses were broken. She was selling the glasses gimmick. She looked like she hit pretty hard.
Yeah. I couldn't tell if it was like legitimate or just selling. They didn't come back to her.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's an indication that maybe it was, legitimate. She got hurt.
Might have been a little bit legitimate, maybe a half and half. The one thing I wanted to bring up though was Cutler. Cutler kind of pulled off or ripped off, however you want to put it, the Usos. Is he showing homage to the Usos or what? But he does the whole Tope Corleone out of the ring, and Peter Avalon tags him on the way out. Like, that's an Usos move. I hate to say it, but yeah, they definitely did it first, I feel. But, Avalon and Cutler did it. And, after saying Avalon and Cutler 50 times in the last 2 minutes, I should mention that saw the previews for next week's Dark. Again, Avalon Cutler going to be in action. They have a tag name, finally.
All right, what is it?
And they're calling themselves The Initiative. I'm not sure how I feel about it, but at least they have a name. It's better than Death Triangle.
Oh, yeah, no, it's way better than that. It's an interesting name. I don't know how it kind of applies to their characters, but...
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, we've had worse, so...
Maybe they'll talk about it. Maybe they'll get a promo section on Dark next week, and they'll kind of explain where it comes from. But maybe it's a Dungeons and Dragons term that I don't know, but... We'll see.
You have to speak nerd to understand it, yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand nerd, so... All right, let's move on to AEW Power Rankings. July 22nd, 2020. Any movement this week?
The only movement we had was in the men's division. So as of the beginning of Dynamite, we still had our two champions, Jon Moxley and Cody. MJF, now the number one contender, moving up one position. Lance Archer jumps up 2 positions to number 2. Brian Cage down 2 positions to number 3. Brody Lee up 1 position to number 4. And Darby Allin now back in the top 5. So Chris Jericho no longer in the top 5.
Interesting. That's interesting to me.
Which part?
Darby Allin.
Jericho?
Just all of a sudden in the top 5. Hasn't wrestled a match since Double or Nothing. Just seems odd. I mean, besides Darby.
Yeah. And I mean, that's probably indicating that he's going to get some sort of story push now, with Brian Cage and whatever not.
All right.
Probably a TNT championship challenge. In the ladies division, again, I think this could be like the third week in a row we have no changes. Sheeta's still the champ. We have Nyla Rose, the number one contender, followed by Swole, Ford, Statlander, and Baker. In the tag team division, still have our champs. No change from last week. Dark Order, number one contenders, followed by Best Friends, Jurassic Express, the Young Bucks, and Private Party.
All right. Good stuff. Well, let's get right into AEW Dynamite, July 22nd, 2020, live from Daly's Place in Jacksonville, Florida. Big news. Well, not big news, but good news that Tony Schiavone cleared, free of COVID, back on the announcer's desk. Love hearing Tony's voice. It was good stuff. But let's get right into the first matchup of the night, which kind of started as we kind of expected, being Cody with his open challenge, his TNT championship and all that stuff. But kind of the surprise was the challenger. And finally, a legit kind of surprise. Not that we necessarily knew who this was. He was kind of a new guy to me. I've never really heard of this guy before. But at least it was a surprise. Like, we didn't know, the day before, the show goes live. So, and he comes out with the microphone and cuts quite the promo on Cody. What did you think of the promo?
I thought the promo was really good. It was unique. It was tough. Like, you really believe that, this guy is dangerous and was going to give Cody a run for his money.
I liked the the words escaping me, but he was all about, like, I had to work for every little bit that I've ever done. You were Rhodes. You're basically given everything, silver spoon, that whole story. Like, I like how he kind of brought that up. And, that really pissed off Cody because, we all know Cody's worked his ass off to get where he is. Rightfully so and all that stuff. But, yeah, I thought
you got to do the work.
You got to do the work. I can see it right behind you there. But, yeah, this was a great promo. We are talking about Eddie Kingston. I should mention he is the surprise challenger for Cody. This guy's known for, the hardcore matches, from what I've gathered in the little bit of research that I did since Dynamite. Indie guy. I like how Excalibur really puts him over, in the sense that, while the match is going on, he's talking about how, like, when the pandemic hit, this guy couldn't work anywhere. He had to sell his boots, some of his gear, just to, pay dues, and Tony Khan giving him a shot. Yeah, he talks about that, kind of breaking kayfabe, a little bit. Tony Khan's paying me to be here, but I'm gonna kick your ass for free, kind of thing, or I'm gonna get paid to kick your ass too, and stuff like that. So, yeah, great promo by Eddie Kingston. What were your initial thoughts on
there's mention that he is the hottest free agent.
I mean, we've heard that before, though. Ricky Starks was the hottest free agent. To me, EC3 is still the hottest free agent. Now he's off the market, but
that's what I was thinking. I mean, I didn't do a lot of research, but on social media, a lot of people were talking about Eddie, and it sounded to me like he's been around, like, for a long time. He's well known, but never really got a shot. So I think everybody was kind of, like, happy that he's getting a shot, like, because he might be TV towards the end of his career.
Yeah, well, Excalibur mentioned that he's like 10 or 12 years in already. Mm-hmm. So, like, he's been around the block, per se. Yeah, I mean,
what'd you think of this match?
I thought this match was really well done, actually. One of probably the second best match Cody's had since being TNT champion. Some of them have been kind of rocky. One was really, really good, being the Sunny Kiss match. But this one was up there. This is this was a really good match. It was really well put together. I think how the promo goes really feeds into how this match is laid out. It was stiff. Oh, this was a stiff match.
Oh yeah.
And to me, this is Cody, you know, trying to force it onto the viewers that, like, you know, I'm not this silver spoon fed, you know, second generation wrestler. Like, I can take licks, and, you know, I'm here to be a professional wrestler and here to put on a show, and he's not scared of the things. And to me, this whole match is just Cody saying, like, I can do this. Screw all you guys who say I can't. And I think the first moment where that's really evident is, I don't know if this is a called shot or not, or if Eddie just doesn't know how to do a belt spot, but he hits him with that belt sideways. Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't hit like this. He hit it like this. And then you see the freaking welts on Cody's back after. And, like, Cody, like, what did you just do to me? But could it be a called spot? I don't know. But stiff.
I wonder if it was just lost in the moment, you know. He, like, really swung at it and it didn't flip over.
Well,
I didn't notice that, but that's that would hurt.
Yeah, watch it back again. But when you take the weightlifter's belt, you do the weightlifter's belt spot, like Hulk Hogan used to do it all the time. You don't fold it up. It's already gonna hurt, you know what I mean? So you just whip them, right? Like, to me, folding it up just added a layer of the margin of error was drastically reduced, you know. So, but stiff match, and then, you know, getting right into the end of the match, and Eddie brings out the tax. Like, I texted you at this point with the fucking emoji, like,
yeah.
Cody,
well, you know,
crazy,
because this at the beginning, they made it seem like this match wasn't booked, and Cody had to, like, sign off on it, right?
That was part of the promo.
And then it was a no DQ, but we didn't really get any no DQ stuff. Maybe besides the belt.
That's a good point.
And then he goes for the tax, and I'm telling the wife, like just look away. You're not going to enjoy watching what's going to happen next, because you know it's going to be Cody.
Well,
like,
yeah,
it's going to be
the way it was all going in, and, you know, usually I'm the guy who will tell you, if you set it up, you go through it. That's kind of the wrestling way, but just the way this match was going, I like I said earlier, that I feel this was Cody's, like, I can do this kind of stuff. I knew from the minute though that bag came out, Cody was putting those in his back.
I think Eddie was supposed to go into it too, but it's like he got the edge of it and it didn't really get him.
Pussed up.
But what did you think about this? Like, did the tax just fall onto the ring, onto the canvas with all of the points up? Like, it looked like they were just all set up like that, because when he gets up, like, he is blanketed. I've never seen that before. Like, there's always tax stuck there, right? But he was blanketed. Like, I thought that was insane.
I think it was just coincidence. But, you know, usually when you see, what I notice is, like, usually when the tacks come out, whoever pours them out of the bag will spread them with their boot to really get, like, you know, an area, I guess, if you will. When you think about when Mox,
so it's not so concentrated,
right?
Yeah.
But this was kind of just a dump, and okay, let's go into the next spot. Like, there was no spreading of the thing, so yeah, I feel like maybe a lot more were pointed up. I mean, hands off to Cody for taking that, though, man. He sold it great. I mean, I don't know how you sell a tack spot. To me, you just take it and just whatever emotions come out, you go with. But Wow.
Yeah, I would be interested how it feels like, because I feel like you'd get that tingly feeling and that cold feeling, like as your nervous system is just overreacting. I wonder what it feels like.
As I mean, we could try it out sometime. As the match goes on, though, you see how the blood is coming out of his back. Like, you can actually see where tacks have fallen out of now. You know, like it's very graphic and like very realistic. I mean, it is real. You can't tell me they did that post production. You know what I mean? Like this is real shit. And the way the blood, you just see where every tack went in. Crazy. It's one of the better tack spots I've seen. Maybe not the actual how he goes into the tacks, but the way the tacks stuck in him, the way they fell out. You know, the visual of the blood coming out of his back and stuff like that. I think it was one of the best done. It was really
But
good.
he almost didn't even react to it. Like, you know how like when John Moxley does it, like he arches his back, he's in pain, but Cody was just like,
well,
no, like not today.
Okay, let me throw this at you, because this is something that I noticed during the match. I almost didn't want to bring it up because it kind of goes against everything I kind of stand for when I watch wrestling, but I try to keep things kayfabe and whatnot. But to me, Eddie wasn't selling for Cody during this match. You know, he was giving him chops back. He was giving him the forearm shivers and stuff like that. And to me, Eddie really wasn't like, selling. He wasn't selling he was almost, there's a term for not selling. There's a wrestling term. Damascus is probably going to have to explain it to us next week on Being the Elite. But, so I wonder if Cody going into the tacks was kind of like, no, I'm going to tough this one out. So he goes in, he kind of grimaces, but it's not like like you said, he doesn't sell it. And I wonder if that's almost like, you're not going to sell for me, I'm not going to fucking sell for you either, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah.
Because Eddie really wasn't selling during that match, which it kind of pissed me off, but.
Yeah. It was just a leg thing, right? Which the story told in the end was I was kind of faking it the whole time.
Right.
Yeah.
Adam.
Yeah, good point.
Anyways, it was a really good match. One of the better Cody matches that we've seen in the last few weeks. Really enjoyed it. That tack spot, check it out. Check it out on YouTube, Instagram, AEW Wrestling. It's there. Let's move on.
Cody's still the champ?
Cody's still the champ. Yeah, he got it with a figure 4 leg lock. Let's move on to the next segment of the night. We get a little video promo from our champ, Jon Moxley, explaining his actions, all that stuff. What did you think of this promo?
Yeah, pretty classic Jon Moxley promo. I like how he's not in kind of full rage and he's more calm.
Yeah, he was super chill.
And he's just like, next time I'll rip it off. So.
Yeah, next time I'll break it. Yeah. I've kind of explained this before. Jericho's really good at this. Taz is really good at this. But like, this is kind of a Heyman thing. Is that when you're cutting a promo on a guy, you never bury him. You almost gas him. You almost put him over, in a way. Even though you're saying you're better, and this is very much what Moxley does in this match, where he's like, when I had your boy, like he's putting Taz over in this moment is what I'm trying to say, is how, you did do the right thing. But you know what, next time, I'm not going to let go. Like that's promo 101. He freaking nailed it on this one.
So do you think that the Moxley cage is going to continue, or as Darby's in the picture?
Yeah, as we'll see later in the show, I definitely think things are not over between Moxley and Cage. And I think we got another really solid. I can see it's going to be Moxley and Cage at All Out again. I think for the AEW Championship, I feel like that's coming. You know,
or what about a 3-way?
It could be.
We haven't had one of those yet in AEW that I can remember.
Yeah, a triple threat for a championship. Yeah, that's a good idea. We'll see how it all plays out. But anyways, good promo from Moxley. Let's move on to the next match up of the night. This is where we get to see MJF in action again. MJF really working this. I've never been pinned. I'm still undefeated. Kind of gimmick going on. He's going one-on-one against Griff Garrison. And this match starts off with MJF cutting the promo on Griff. Again, mistaking him for Jungle Boy in a way. This is, I mentioned earlier in the show, this is kind of Griff's moment. He's like, I'm not Jungle Boy. Or, I'm Griff Garrison. He gets his moment on the mic. Probably not the best executed, but I mean, at least he had his moment and he took advantage of it.
Yeah, I felt like he was a bit nervous at the beginning.
I think he was
when he
too,
delivered that line, didn't you lose at Fyter Fest?
Yeah.
I thought he did that line really well. Like he looked like he got over the nerves real quickly and it was a good start to the match.
Yeah, I agree. And, right away, MJF just goes right after him, controls the match from here on in. We go into a commercial break, and it comes back, and MJF, continuing the onslaught, grabs the microphone again, and basically does the whole, I'm going to cut a promo while we're wrestling. And he's trying to get Griff Garrison to say, I'm still undefeated. MJF is still undefeated. And I like how they kind of go back and forth. Griff doesn't want to give in. So he beats him up a little bit more. Still doesn't want to give in. Beat him up a little bit more. Like, I thought it's not the most spectacular match you'll ever see, but I mean, it really progresses MJF's character, which is really what it's all about, right? So I really enjoyed what happened here.
Yeah, I liked it too. And then we get to see the Heat Seeker.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, what do you think
of this move?
I mean, I hate to say it because he does it kind of shittily, but I like him doing the crossroads better, the double cross. Like, that was a better finisher. But I mean, I'm gonna have to see it a couple more times when it's properly set up. This was kind of like this was a glorified squash match, right? So I mean, there really was no setup. There was no heat, rise, fire up. There was none of that. It was all MJF, and he kind of just goes into the move. So I think seeing it a couple more times where there's proper matches, setups, and stuff, maybe I'll have a different opinion on it. But I mean, I was not impressed by your performance. What did you think?
MJF still undefeated in single competition.
Yeah.
I was just more baffled about this name. Like, usually the names of the moves have something to do with, I guess, Heat Seeker, being a heel, trying to get heat. Okay.
It makes sense.
I take it back. It's a good name. Just do it better.
Be better. All right. Let's move on to the next segment of the show. One of my favorite, moments in the past few months. Britt Baker doing her role model gimmick. Missed her last week, but I think it was a well planned out absence, as it makes this appearance a little more impactful. I like how it starts off. Tony Schiavone is interviewing Reba Rebel. I like how they make light of that. They're like, "Hey, like, what is your name?" And she's like, "Hey, I just want to take the time now to tell you that my name is, and then you hear Britt in the background, Reba, you're never here when I need you. And I'm like, this is going to be gold. And I love Britt Baker, man. She's so good in this character.
Yeah. Yeah, she did. She was on that night. Like, really, really good.
I like how her nose was legitimately broken by Sheeta very early on in the pandemic era, as I've been calling it. The Swole incident where she knocks Reba's hand into Britt Baker and they say they refractures her nose. You know, like I want to say that these surgery pictures are legit. I've seen her Twitter. She's been posted these pictures. She's all bandaged up. If she's legit selling this to this extent, bravo.
Yeah.
But I think
it's a work.
Really?
Yeah, like go back and watch it, and she's supposed to have, like, you know, when you break your nose, you have the kind of black eyes. Like, it looked like makeup.
Really?
To me, it looked like makeup.
Interesting. To me, the whole Swole situation was the excuse so that she could go 2 weeks, get her much needed surgery to fix her nose. I mean, I'm sure it's plastic surgery. You know, it's probably not necessary, but.
Like you mean this was done to fix something from before?
Well, yeah, like the nose break 3 months ago to Sheeta. We're fixing that.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? The hand up into the face, that's a work. That's a work.
Right.
Her black eyes were months ago. I think.
Well, then that means I'm more convinced now. Well, maybe it's legitimate, but she's selling it. Like, that looked like black makeup around her.
Oh,
around
for sure.
Her eyes.
Yeah, for sure. I believe. I believe.
All
so
right,
too.
we're on the same page.
Yeah, for sure. But anyways, it was a great segment.
Last week we had a conversation about cuss words on the show, and you had said, you know, well, there's only a couple that they've used. Britt calls Tony an asshole. Now, I think we're getting closer to that fine line I was talking about last week. And I don't get me wrong, viewers. I use cuss words, but I use them where they need to be used. I just don't rattle them off in my everyday conversation. So, like, I mean, I wasn't offended by this, but man, like, it really caught my attention that she went there. What'd you think about it? Did you notice it?
I noticed it. I noticed it right away. I agree with you. Look, I said this while we were talking about it last week. There's a time and a place for cuss words, but to me, we're getting into the realm of Netflix shows, HBO shows, where they're given that freedom and they just almost over abuse it. It's like, oh, we're allowed to say shit and fuck in our show. Well, it's going to be in every scene now, One of the examples that I have for that is, if you've ever seen the chapter 1 of It, the new movie, and they got all the little kids, like those kids cuss like it ain't nobody's business. And it's like I was a kid and I swore when my parents weren't around, but I mean, like these kids were like every other sentence, like it was overboard. And I think that's
right.
where what are you getting surprised about? You hung out with me when I was a kid. But you know what I mean? Like we're getting into that territory. And I mean, this is just more evidence towards that. And I think we even get a shit out of Jericho again later. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
They're taking advantage of their freedom. I like that TSN has been a little bit more lenient on their censorship up here in Canada with Dynamite. But at the same time, it's just like, yeah, it's all about the 18 to 49 demographic, but I mean, we still need to wrangle in some 9 to 18-year-olds too. So,
yeah,
maybe the role model doesn't need to be shouting off asshole. There's other insults out there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But kind of the end game of this segment is Britt teasing that she'll be back for All Out. We'll see in a couple segments from now. We'll talk about there's a big tournament coming up. Do you feel like I gotta feel like her and Reba are going to be a part of this, because we do know that Reba Rebel is a professional wrestler. We kind of speculated that when she was introduced, like this chick's jacked, like she's a solid girl, and she's got to be a professional wrestler, right? Like we had that conversation. It's been since confirmed that she is. You know. But what do you think of this tease?
I mean, it's good. I think she's been almost on every week doing the promos, and we need to see her. We need to see her in some matches.
You can almost argue that Reba is 50% of Britt's character right now. Britt was doing a really good job before they introduced her. But I mean, she really adds a different layer to Britt's heelness, if you will. And but yeah, like you said, we got to see her in action. I feel like it's a shoe-in for this tag team tournament coming up, but we'll see. Other than that, do you have any predictions on what Britt could be talking about at an all-out return? That's only a month away.
Yeah. You know, I never really thought about it, but I if it's a Rebel Brit thing, I think it's good. And if I had to make a prediction, if they're there, I think Rebel does it all. You know, like it's one of those matches. Maybe Brit still has the thing on her face, but she really doesn't do much in the match, but then takes all the credit.
Kind of like Brandy and Allie are doing right now. Kind of that dynamic, but maybe a little bit more blowing up.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
I like it. All right, good stuff coming out of Britt Baker. Let's move on to the next segment of the night, which was hearing from Taz. He's coming out. He was going to explain himself for throwing in the towel. Brian Cage comes out too. You know, classic Taz promo here. He made it very convincing, you know, to me that, you know, why he did his things. He got the message across. But I mean, this promos aside, this whole segment's about Darby Allin coming out, trying to get one over on Cage. But the introduction, I mean, the introduction happened on Dark, but I mean, the confirmation that Ricky Starks is a part of this new heel faction, this new group, whatever you want to call it. Darby Allin comes out. He's standing outside of the ring. You know, Taz and Brian Cage are basically calling him on. Ricky Starks comes out of nowhere and hits Darby from behind. Now, this is what I was talking about earlier in the show, how this kid can't freaking work. Because he absolutely destroys Darby Allin here, and unnecessarily. It's been since convert.
I went, whoa. Like, I really popped for that. I was like,
you know, for any of our viewers out there that, you know, maybe just watch us because you're family or friends or anything like, or something like that, who don't really know the ins and outs of professional wrestling, Darby Allin gets hit from behind and goes head first into the ropes. And now you think ropes, wrestling ropes, yeah, they're elastic, they're probably soft. These are steel cables. stretched tight, covered by a very thin layer of foam. And he hits his head on the side of this steel cable that's probably as tight as the steel cables that hold up our hydro poles here in Canada. Like, just imagine that. It's been since confirmed.
If you want proof, go find some footage of the real one kissing one of those ropes.
Yeah.
Knocked him out cold.
Well, and it's been since confirmed that Darby Allin has a legitimate concussion right now. He's injured.
Oh, really? He just got back.
He just got back. All because of this overzealous, I need to make a name for myself, dingleberry, Ricky Starks. Don't get me fucking started. Sorry for cussing.
Okay.
But seriously, like...
I was like, oh, he's not going to cuss now. He said dingleberry. Followed with a fox, so it's all good.
I mean, I have no filter. But anyways, like... It pisses me off because it didn't need to happen. I understand that was the called spot. But, I mean, there's a right and wrong way to hit a guy from behind. And, and then I think they go on through the spot and they keep, like, Brian Cage is powerbombing him. Like, you see, he has no function over his body. He's knocked out. There has to be a decision. Someone has to take the initiative to say, okay, this spot's kind of dead. We can do something else with this. Maybe let's leave him alone. But no, Brian Cage power bombs him once on the outside, throws him into the ring, and then Ricky does his move to the outside. And he's still an absolute ragdoll at this point. Eventually he wakes up when Moxley comes out. But I mean, what did you think of this whole situation? Because it infuriated me. But I'm a Darby guy.
Yeah, I mean, you saw it right away. Like, guys don't hit the ropes like that. They don't hit the ropes face first. It never, ever happens. So right away, I was just like, whoa, like, what's going on? I mean, we could play both sides. Obviously, you're on the side of, Starks being, not a safe wrestler. I suppose it could be possible on the other side that maybe Darby Allin didn't expect him. But I mean, it's kind of like cars, right? Like, the guy behind is always the one at fault. Right. So Starks has got to take care of him. Did he kick him in the back, or was this a push?
I think he jumped down the stairs and kind of gave him the forearm in the back. So, like, to me, I think what the spot was supposed to be is, like, there's a hit in the back, and then Darby goes chest first into the ropes and then bounces off, and then you go on. But I think just the angle and the speed and momentum that Ricky Starks put into it drove Darby down to where the side of his face goes into the ropes. I think that's what happened. And to me, like you said, like, you have to take care of the guy you're working with. And to me, Ricky, maybe he got overzealous. Maybe I'm jumping on him too hard. But I mean, I've watched 3 of this other matches, and he's done shit like this before, where it's just like he drops people on their heads. It's not safe. I don't want to talk about him anymore.
I mean, it won't last very much longer.
If that's the case, yeah.
I feel like this is a company that he'll either have to go to training and get it fixed, or they just won't be able to let him wrestle.
Tony Khan is a smart guy, and he knows what will make him money and what won't. Darby Allin has been making him money. Ricky Starks, I don't see it. And when it comes to who do I want to protect here? Like, yeah, Ricky Starks isn't going to be around much longer. I think it's great that they have something for him, and you know they're trying to follow through. But I mean, you make 3 strikes and you're out. And to me, he's on 2 strikes right now. First strike was the Cody match. This was strike 2. So I don't know. But I like that.
I really feel bad for Brian Cage.
Yeah.
Like, I just feel like he hasn't had a good go. He gets, a loss in like his first match. He gets his belt that means nothing. And now he has this punk as like his sidekick.
Yeah.
Like, poor guy.
I should have went to WWE. I bet that's what he's thinking. At least they would have had me wrestling, Brock Lesnar or something. Like, it is what it is. But
yeah,
I like that Moxley comes out, returns the favor for Darby. It follows the story. It makes it all, legit. It's all kind of coming together. But in hindsight, this legitimate injury in today's world, concussions are very, very important. You can't take them lightly. It's announced later in the show that it's going to be Moxley and Darby versus Starks and Cage in a tag team match next week. I feel like that's in question. I feel like they had long-term plans with this where, they're going to do this tag team match and then maybe it's Darby and Starks in a match, leading into, maybe it's Darby and Cage at All Out. Mox takes on Starks. Like there's all those different ways they can go. I think it's all in jeopardy right now because Starks is a overzealous, trying to impress for no reason type of guy. But that's my personal opinion. Let's move on. This is where we get the announcement, the official announcement that we're going to do this 8-team, 16-woman tag team tournament, basically. They highlight and show flashes of all the women's wrestlers. You got Swole, Anna Jay's in there, Kylan King, Brandy and Allie. Like, they're all the women's wrestlers are featured almost in this promo package. I guess what I want to ask you is, like, what are your thoughts on a tag team tournament? Do you feel like this is AEW's answer to the women's tag team champions in Vanilla Brand? Do you think AEW should have a women's tag team championship? Or do you think this is kind of their answer and, we'll do like a tournament every year and that team will be the champions for that year kind of thing? Like, what do you think?
Well, on Dark, they had a bit of an interview with Brandy and Allie.
Right.
And she kind of said, since the men, there's a real big focus on tag teams, that, she thought that there should be a women's tag team. I mean, I don't think it's a bad idea. Right now, there's really only one belt for the women to go after. I'm left thinking, like, who's going to be in this? Like, we have one tag team for the women, right? Like, can you think of another one?
No, they've just been throwing people together for the Nightmare Sisters to take on, really.
Yeah. So it will be interesting in that respect as to who they pair up and then who maybe sticks together for the long haul to make this an actual division.
See, having
a yearly title, though, is an interesting way to do it. I mean, that's what they do in sports, right?
Yeah. And that's where, like, I was excited when WWE, the Vanilla Brand, introduced the Women's Tag Team Championships. I was like, yeah, that's great. They kind of deserve that. They have their singles competitions, and that's really that's all the women can go for. And so the tag team, then they can put girls together and they have something to do. essentially. Like there's something else to go for. I thought it was going to be great. It ended up being a real letdown. You know, Kairi Sane and Asuka held those titles for pretty much the whole year last year. You know, switching on and off with Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, which were really kind of the only tag teams there were. You know, WWE is kind of not taking advantage of what they have, which worries me when it comes to AEW, is that, yeah, you don't have women's tag teams. And you know my feelings on when you just throw two singles wrestlers together for the sake of a tag team. It doesn't really always work. It's been working with Hangman and Page because they have a story behind it to go with it. Are they friends? Are they not? Whatever. So it worries me if they're going to go champions, if they're going to go belts. To me, have a yearly tournament, they get to hang their hats, you know, on it for that year. That's kind of interesting to me. That's just me.
Yeah. Well, in the we'll call it the ladies division, like if we look at all of the ladies on the roster, a lot of them are kind of young and upcoming. So I agree with your point that we can't just stick two singles wrestlers in there and expect them to be a great tag team, but this could build that.
For sure.
Considering there's all this kind of young talent, right?
For sure.
So yeah, well, I guess we'll see where it goes, but you're right. They can't do like vanilla. They can't just, it's kind of an afterthought belt or a reason to have two people on a poster. I think AEW will do that. They will give it legitimate time. We'll see stories. They'll be part of pay-per-views and things like that.
I feel like AEW has the advantage of doing it second. So they know what not to do. And what Vanilla Brand has done the past year and a half with their women's tag team belts, that's what not to do. So we'll see how they handle it. I like the idea of this tournament. I think it'll give a chance for some up and coming young talent to show what they have, and yeah, I'm kind of excited for it. I'm more interested to see who teams with who.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, let's move on to the next segment of the night. We have a backstage promo with Alex Marvez and Inner Circle. All Jericho on this one. I loved it. What color is this jacket? It's orange. What color is it supposed to be? White? That's right. Like it was so on the nose of a promo that it just worked.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah. And I like the ending where he's asking Santana, does it still smell? And he's just so
And then Hager smacks him like, what are you doing? He's like, what, I'm supposed to lie to him? It was classic. It was a quick little segment. I mean, it just worked gangbusters. I loved it. It was quintessential Jericho. Loved it. Let's move on. Match of the night for me. Falls Count Anywhere, Butcher and Blade versus the Young Bucks, doing something different. To me, this is different. I don't think I can remember seeing a Falls Count Anywhere match just start in the back randomly. You know, the Bucks, they got Rick Knox. They're like, come on, we're going to find them. We're going to start this thing now. And then I like how they go into the kitchen and they're there cutting meat. Like, it's a gimmick. They're embracing it. I loved it.
Yeah, and they really have the luxury of no one's there.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Because it kind of seemed like, at least for the the second part of it, that they were in some kind of area where patrons would be, because they had like a bar and shops and stuff like that. So I thought it was really neat. They had that semi park there, and it actually had the Young Bucks on it.
That was clever.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. Yeah, I know it was a very good match, and you would expect that from these two teams. I'm really impressed by the Butcher in this match. To me, he was the highlight for me. He didn't really do any big spots, but he did his job, and he's such a big guy, and he just kept motoring. Like, he did not seem to be gassing out, and
wasn't blowing up.
Yeah, new respect for the Butcher, man. I thought he had a hell of a match.
My one critique is something I noticed while I was watching this match. I might need to go back and watch it again just to be sure, but I feel like when I think of Butcher and the Blade and I see these guys, I feel like these are badass motherfuckers. You know what I mean? Like, no one should be walking all over these guys. The Young Bucks kind of walked over all these guys. And I started to get those feelings that I got about Nyla Rose in her matches with Hikaru Shida. Like, they were selling things that maybe they didn't need to be selling. Young Bucks seem to have had a handle on this match from the beginning. I mean, it's obvious they're going to win, but it should have been a tougher fight for them. And that's kind of my only critique for this match. I think the Butcher and Blade need to protect themselves a little bit more, be a little bit more badass, be a little bit more assertive in like, no, I think we should, set the tone for this match. We should push the pace. To me, they were selling a lot more than they needed to. Having said that, it was a great match. I did thoroughly enjoy it. I liked all the spots, but if I had to critique something about it, that would be it.
What did you think about the ending?
A little. I understand it was kind of an elaborate ending, but it took too long to set up. It was like, okay, we can see what's going to happen. Just do it already. But no, they had to beat up Butcher for a little bit. And they're like, oh, there's a guy over here. Let's beat him up for a little bit. Get him on the table. Go back to Butcher. Beat him up a little bit. Get him on the table. And then they took forever to climb. Like, it's just like, we know what's going to happen. Just do it. So,
yeah.
What about you?
And it kind of really points out your point about, selling too much. Like, are you telling me in the 5 minutes it took them to get up there and then look at each other and count that they didn't wake out of their stupor and, get off the tables? Like, I mean, I get it's wrestling, but
there's a right and a wrong way to do things, and they're just missing the mark. It's still entertaining. I'm enjoying watching it, but it could be better. Sometimes when things are really good, you just want them to be better. In a way, that's kind of almost human nature to want things to be better. But not saying it's bad. It's just it could be better, and that's one of those things. But this was a great match. If you haven't watched it, suggest checking it out. Really good. Let's move on to next segment. This was an interesting segment. Again, Alex Marvez doing a backstage interview. Starts off on camera by himself, and he kind of runs into Lance Archer and Jake the Snake. And he tries to ask them some questions, and they basically interrupt them and say, "Come with us." They walk into the Jobber locker room, and can I just say the Jobber locker room, friggin' nice. And
absolutely.
And I almost want to say this is obviously they are blessed with the fact that no one else is in the stadium at this point. But I can't help but feel that this is a shot towards WWE, because it's very well documented that the jobbers and the enhancement talent and the extras have to change in the boiler rooms and the broom closets of the arenas, which I never understood. You know, when it comes to WWE and they take over, you know, Madison Square Garden and all this stuff, like the Credit Union Place here in town where the Dauphin Kings play, that thing's got like 12 dressing rooms. You telling me that the jobbers have to change in the Zamboni room? Like,
yeah.
You look at Madison Square Garden.
Brock Lesnar has to have his own room, and you know, Rollins and Becky Lynch have to have their own room. And
I don't believe that shit.
You run out of rooms.
Whatever. Congratulations to the jobbers of AEW. They got a nice dressing room. Anyways, Lance barges in there, punts a guy in the face. He just goes on a tear and beats these 4 or 5 jobbers up. And I'm interested into what you think of this new character, this kind of new character trait that Lance Archer has, and this really breathy way he did his promo on Alex Marvez. Like it was just like I don't even remember if that's how it sounded, but that's kind of what I'm remembering.
Yeah.
What did you think of this new thing?
I'm liking the Lance Archer stuff. I like that he's not talking and he just beats people up. I like the part where he throws the kid through the ceiling and
that was really cool.
Can and I could see it getting old. Like if this is all we're gonna see Lance Archer do week after week, got to give this guy some matches. He's got to do it on somebody. So
it might be time to find someone to go up against him. Finally, have this going somewhere.
For sure.
All right, let's move into another matchup of the night. We had Diamante versus Ivelisse Velez. 2 talents that we've been seeing on Dark the last few weeks and months. Kind of getting a spotlight. Almost new talent for Dynamite. Getting a spotlight. This was a really good match. They went after it. They took their opportunity and ran with it. These two are obviously, I mean, I say that not knowing the truth, but to me, these two are friends. They've obviously worked together before. They knew each other in and out. This match just flowed like they've done this 100 times.
Yeah.
Which made a really good match.
Exactly what you mean, because I thought the same thing. Not just because they, you know, one of them was obviously from Puerto Rico. I felt like they both probably have some sort of Spanish Latin background. Mm-hmm. I felt like they worked really well together, and it's probably because they've had a lot of work together. Really good match. And I think it was Excalibur that said that something to the effect like this was going to determine who was going to be facing Shida.
Mm-hmm. So that's announced
for
later.
That open challenge.
Yeah, that's announced later in the night that the winner of this match, it ends up being Diamante. She will face Shida next week on Dynamite. So big opportunity for a new talent, a talent we've only seen on Dark, which is good to see that, you know, some of these undercard talent are rising up and being rewarded for their work. I really enjoy that. Big Swole had an appearance via satellite, one of those situations. What can you say about this?
Yeah, it wasn't really nothing to write home about. I just thought it was weird. Like, you're giving these two talents, a shot on the big show, and then you interrupt it with Big Swole, who has nothing to do with these people, doesn't even have anything to do with Shida.
Right. I feel like
they're not feuding right now.
I feel like this would have been better off coming off commercial break after this match. And then it's clear that it's just counteracting, it's counter programming from Britt's segment earlier in the, now you're not confusing,
Yeah.
you're not blurring the lines, taking away from the spotlight that these two girls are working towards. So yeah, I felt the same way. It was just weird and out of place, which I mean, I've said that about some other things that AEW has done. Just weird and out of place.
Yeah, it could be a time thing because I mean, you had two major kind of bigger matches left to do, so maybe it was a time thing, but just felt bad for the young ladies there.
Yeah, at the same time, there's always next week. There's a lot of time for this Swole Britt Baker rivalry to blossom, and I said that before. Like, why was Swole coming out and challenging this suspension the same night that it's issued? There's time to let this grow. Same sentiments this week.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move on to Hangman Adam Page versus number 5 Allin Angels. What did you think of this?
I thought it was Adam Cole.
Oh yeah, sorry. Jimmy Corderas knows everything about wrestling. I forgot. Sorry, Jimmy. Adam Cole is definitely AEW. I mean, he is, but we don't know that.
I think you got a new guy to salute at the end of the show.
Oh God, that's 3 now. I gotta tell. What'd you think of this match?
Yeah, I thought it was a really good match. I mean, I like Allin Angels. I think he's a really good performer. Smaller guy, but like super strong. And Adam Cole is Adam Cole, baby. So like this was gonna be a good match. What did you think about it?
I mean, I hate to agree with Jimmy Cordanos or whatever his name is. It went a bit long for what it should have been. Hangman's like an elite top guy. Allin Angels is a lackey in a faction. Maybe didn't need to go 12 minutes or however long this match went. I like how Excalibur was like talking about, did this guy always have tattoos on his chest? It's just like, yeah, like if you never watched one of his matches before, but it was a good match. If I had something really kind of critiquey to say about it, it doesn't really make sense. This is almost a BTE angle that they're bringing in to Dynamite, where Adam Page says, yeah, he has that moment with Brody Lee where like, yeah, I totally filled out your thing, but I never got a call. It's almost like following through with that storyline, which I don't think they necessarily need to blur between the two shows, but Adam Page needed to do some work, throw him up against someone in Dark Order. It's a great match. It's fine.
I feel like this can't be, all disrespect to Jimmy Corderas. This can't be a squash match. Like, it's Dark Order. Like, you can't be squashing Dark Order.
I get that.
Like, you called him a lackey. I feel like Dark Order can't really have lackeys, and if you're gonna pick any lackeys, it's 3 and 4 for sure. Because Allin Angels is like the Spitfire.
Yeah, that's true. I agree.
So it needed to be a match. It needed to be, the Dark Order standing on the outside, because they weren't there at the beginning. They came out
midway, yeah.
After. So now you're thinking, hey, are they gonna attack him? So I think there was more depth to this that could have maybe been overlooked. But it was really all just a setup for this BTE moment at the very end.
Yeah. So Brody Lee comes in to the ring after the match and again offers Adam Page, a spot in Dark Order, basically a guaranteed spot, and line of the night. I don't think I'm ready to be in a cult. And the whole thing about Dark Order is that, they're not a cult, and they don't want to be thought of as a cult, even though everybody thinks of them as a cult. So this infuriates Brody Lee. He leaves the ring, 6 Dark Order on Page, and Page fights him off as best as he can. The numbers get over on him, as JR would say. And, FTR comes to the rescue. They're there first, as Excalibur puts it. And then Kenny comes a little bit later when it's almost not even needed anymore. But what do you... I like this relationship of, as Hangman put it in BTE, that's just how that's how us Carolina boys roll, or something like that. He says to that. So they're all from the Carolina area. I like Page and FTR. I like it. I want to see more of it. I hope that's where it's going, which it's where it looks like it is going. What are your thoughts on an FTR Page alliance?
Yeah, I think it's going to be cool. I think they will have, probably the camaraderie of being from the same area. And if they're going to do the whole, backyard cookout, drinking beer, that kind of thing, I think we could see some really good moments out of those 3 guys.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hope it happens.
I want to see where. Okay, so we're months into the future now, and it's these 3. They're together. It's known. They're stable, whatever. Death Triangle 2.0, whatever you want to call them. Not that, no. Whoever they're feuding against, when they're having a match against somebody else, they just roll up randomly and just start cracking beers, and they're watching the match from up in the sky boxes, hopefully when arenas are back into play or whatever, and they're always just watching and drinking beers and getting drunk every night. Like, I think it's a good character trait. I just feel I want to see.
Yeah, and they're gonna fight the Young Bucks with the Cleaner.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I guess that's where it's probably going. Let's throw this on the table. Eventually, maybe at All Out, maybe that's where we're headed. Hangman and Omega, the Mega Cowboys, versus FTR for the titles. Hangman turns on Kenny, gifts FTR the win. And then that's the heel turn that we've been waiting for the whole time. The faction, the Carolina Panthers are born. No, I don't know.
That's 100 bonus points right there.
I would pop hard. That's good storytelling.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff. All right, let's move on to the main event of the evening. We saw some lead up to this matchup earlier in the night. Inner Circle had that interview with Alex Marvez. It's going to be Jericho and Hager representing Inner Circle versus Jurassic Express, Jungle Boy, and Luchasaurus. Decent match. I have a hard time putting words to this match. It was just so mediocre. I wanted it to be good, but honestly, it was just, it was a tag team match. What did you think?
I agree. I don't know
what it was.
Yeah, like, I'm trying to think of now in the moment. Like, I don't think that Jericho Hager really work the best together, and then Jurassic Express just seemed to do the same match we saw them do the last time we saw them. Like, it was the same set of moves, like the same order that they did it in.
Yeah.
Like nothing terrible. I can't even remember anything botchy. It was just
No, it was a super
lackluster.
Yeah, it was super clean. But when you think about Jungle Boy, Chris Jericho, these guys have a history, you know. And then you add in the big men of Luchasaurus and Hager. Like, this had everything, all the ingredients to be a really great match, but it just missed. I don't know what it was. Like, I felt myself picking up my phone, getting on Instagram and Twitter and scrolling while this match was going on.
Yeah.
But
is it the placement? Like, it was this maybe not a main event match?
I feel like if this match is in the middle of the night, and then the Young Bucks Butcher and Blade match was main event, maybe everything is just amplified for the better. Hindsight's always 20/20, right? But I think the reason that this match is at the end was because of the end of the match.
Absolutely.
Like, that's...
What did you think of... Oh, sorry.
No, I'm just saying, like, that's really the only reason for this match to be main event.
Right. What did you think about Aubrey getting into... like, really getting into it with Jericho? We've seen this in the past.
A few
times.
This
seemed to take it to the next level.
Jericho pushed her back. He gave her a nudge on the shoulder. And, you know, the commentary does a good job of like, hey, you can't do that. Hager got suspended a couple weeks ago because of that. Again, I think this is refs trying too hard. Like, I don't think this is Aubrey's idea. I don't think she's behind this. It's probably Jericho. It's probably Tony. But someone needs to say, like, you know, this doesn't need to happen. We get it. Aubrey's tough. She doesn't take shit from anybody. But, I mean, like I said, we get it already. I don't know.
Yeah. The other
I didn't like it.
Thing is, why is Jericho's bat so small? Like, John Moxley has a regular size bat, and then you have Jericho with this little bat. I don't know. It's disturbing. But the bat comes into play in this match, and Serpentico of all people jumps over the guardrail, picks up the bat, hits Luchasaurus, and Inner Circle take this one.
Well, the bat's teased earlier in the night, as you brought it up. That's the whole Aubrey situation. Get it out of here. Jericho pushes, whatever. He drops it. They go on with the match about 5 minutes later. Yeah, Serpentico, of all people. Which I should mention that they focus in on during Inner Circle's entrance. Which, I mean, at the moment, I'm like, who wants to see Serpentico right now? Like, what? But then he jumps over the rail. He hits the bat on Luchasaurus. And, I mean, I know what's going on at this point. So why don't you tell me what you're thinking?
I'm baffled. I'm just like, I said out loud, I'm like, what the heck is going on here?
But I mean,
and the wife is like, what are you talking about? I'm like, Serpentico. He's like
a nobody.
I mean, I really like Serpentico, but yeah, he's the
dark.
guy that stands on the outside. But you know what? I'm thinking, like, so my mind's racing, right? And I'm thinking, okay, well, Sammy's not there. Maybe Jericho feels like he needs that guy there, and that maybe he would try out a lucha.
Right.
Okay. Like, I mean, he's wrestled in Mexico. You know, maybe he sees something.
He has
in
that
this
respect
guy.
for them.
Yeah. So, and they played it really well because especially Jericho was like, he was very confused. Like he had this like look on his face, like who are you? But then it's like Serpentico was like really trying to get the respect. Now, I don't know if I was just trying to see that in the moment, but that's what I was thinking. I'm like, he's getting in there. They kind of don't know, like, it's kind of like you're at the playground and there's that kid who comes in and he's trying to play with you and you're like, who is this kid?
That's a good analogy. I like that.
Yeah, and they kind of give it to him, right? They're like, yeah, you want to go up the top rope? Sure, get on the top rope. And, he does the splash. But
so,
yeah. What were you thinking?
I mean, like, as soon, I kind of overlooked the moment when they zoom in on him during the intro. I remember it happening, but like after everything happened, I remembered back. But when the bats hit and that leads into the finish and the win, I immediately jumped off. I'm like, it's Sammy! That's Sammy! And I kept screaming it while everything was going on. Now, Serpentico goes up to the top rope. This is where I think they missed it. He needed to do the 630. To me, it's like, yes. Like, that would have been the moment. I knew it earlier because I'm a genius, but I wrote the show. But Serpentico hits the 630, which is something we haven't seen Serpentico do. Then that raises the, what if that's Sammy? Like that, to me, that would have been more impactful than the shooting star because that's Sammy's move. I don't know. But anyways, he hits the shooting star press. Everybody's playing it off. I thought everybody was great in that moment. Jericho was good. Santana and Ortiz, they're playing it off like, I mean, that's pretty impressive, kid. But like, whoever. And Jake, worst actor in the world, he's just like, the whole time. But yeah, and then there's that moment he's standing in the ring and like, I'm convinced now. Sure enough, the mask comes off. Sammy Guevara making a comeback. Epic return. Think it could have been done better with the 630, but I'm happy he's back. When we talked about the situation that Sammy was in, I feel like he handled it really, really well, really, really respectfully. I think he deserved, to keep his job. I'm sure he went through his sensitivity training and all that stuff. Happy Sammy's back. Good for him.
Yeah. You know what? I think if this is like 5 months from now, I think I would have thought Sammy. But it really hasn't been that long. Like,
it's only been a few weeks.
Yeah.
A month.
So
at the most.
I just really wasn't
thinking about it.
But I mean, in my ignorance, like, it was such a moment. I know I was like 5 minutes behind you, but I'm like, he's back.
It helped you pop harder, right? Like,
yeah,
I was popping before the pop was supposed to happen. But
we've seen this before. You remember when Jericho was Pentagon?
Yeah, Allin. Yeah,
like,
I called that too.
Sammy's got the same body type as Serpentico. Yeah, like, you could stand those guys side by side with masks on. Like, you couldn't pick them out. I think Sammy has a tattoo I noticed after he pulled it off. That maybe could have gave it away if you're really looking at it.
Well, that was the giveaway with Jericho and Pentagon, because you see that Canadian flag on his inner arm. And now Jericho, when he talks about that night at Allin, and everybody, he's like, yeah, people like to tweet me like, oh, I knew it was you. You didn't know. He's like so adamant. Like, we hid that so well. And it's like, no, as soon as you stood up, I saw your fucking tattoo all over your arm. Like, I knew it was you. So this was done better than that. But yeah, we've seen it before. Yeah, it's good stuff. Mm-hmm. I was happy. I'm happy. I wish I was more ignorant in that sense, and I could have got a legit pop. I I haven't popped for a surprise return like that for forever. It's been a long time since I've popped for a return. Shane McMahon, and I ruined that for myself because I saw it on Twitter. You remember that night watching Raw? I was like, oh, yeah. I shouldn't have done that. And you're like, dude, get off your phone. And then it happens on TV, and I'm like, oh, shit, I'm going to act surprised anyways. But yeah, no, it's been a long time since I've popped for a return, so sometimes I wish I was ignorant like that, but congratulations. I'm so happy Sammy's back. He's the missing element to Inner Circle for sure.
Absolutely.
All right, well, great show, great week of wrestling. Again, just recapping, EC3, Eric Young, Good Brothers, Heath Slater, Kurt Hawkins, all signed to Impact Wrestling. Huge news for them. Happy for those guys. I think they'll do well in Impact. Adam Cole, Pat Mcafee, whatever your stupid name is. Is it a work or a shoot? I don't know. Let us know in the comments below. And yeah, BTE Dark, great shows. Dynamite, great show. It should be noted, Dynamite broke 1 million viewers during the Young Bucks Butcher and Blade match. I think it's the first time AEW's had 1 million viewers at any time during the demographic, during any of the quarters as they break it down. So big news for that. Yeah, I don't know.
Sammy's back.
Sammy's back.
Darby's gone.
Darby's gone, Alex. Yeah, Sammy's back. But we'll see how that all plays out. All right. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. Let us know in the comments below if you made it to the end. Appreciate you watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and we'll catch y'all next week. Peace out. And okay, let me get this right. Fuck you, Jason Corvette. Fuck you, Brad Alvarez, Alonzo, and James Corden. Peace.